Welcome everyone, I'm Giulio Coraggio, a technology and data lawyer at the global law firm DLA Piper.
And I'm Antonio Ravenna, a journalist.
We're here to discuss a very interesting case relating to the liability of data protection officer.
And we're gonna make it during the time of a coffee break. Hi Giulio. An Italian court just ruled on a case involving a DPO and cyber fraud worth nearly 400,000 euros. What happened?
Well, it's a really interesting case. It relates to a company in the utility sector. Basically, one of the employees of this company received an email that seemed to be legitimate. It was coming from an email address that was from a customer of the company, basically requiring to change the IBAN number, the bank account details, to which a payment had to be performed. The officer in charge just executed the request, but unfortunately the IBAN number was not of the customer or the supplier that was meant to receive the payment, but was of the fraudsters, and therefore 390,000 euros were kind of diverted to a different bank account, and all of a sudden they disappeared. What is interesting here is that following this accident, the victim of the fraud decided to bring a claim against the firm of the DPO, just challenging that this event had occurred because of a sort of a lack of service by the DPO.
And so at the heart of this ruling is a fundamental question. Actually, what does the GDPR say about what a DPO is supposed to do?
It's interesting because it seems to say, in the view of the claimant, that the DPO is in charge of ensuring privacy compliance of the company, is the kind of main actor of the privacy compliance of the company, while the scenario is quite different under the GDPR. It is true that in a few cases, the DPO does more than what is required under the GDPR, but the GDPR provides the role of the DPO as a sort of auditor of the data protection compliance of the company. So it doesn't take decisions, it gives recommendations on what the company shall do in order to ensure compliance. In practice, it doesn't mean that the DPO is a representative of the data controller. The DPO actually, also in case of disputes, cannot represent the company. It's a third party, even when it's an employee of the company, because it's a mere advisor, it's a mere auditor. It needs to flag a potential lack of compliance. And this is exactly what happened in this case. The DPO had flagged a lack of security measures, had reported actually in two instances that the employees required a specific training on this kind of frauds, and then the company decided not to run this kind of trainings for the very frequent reason, for cost-related matters, and then he suffered the cyber attack.
And so, Giulio, what are the practical takeaways for DPOs and companies?
From the perspective of the DPO, the golden rule is that you need to document everything you do, because then otherwise you could be blamed for what you weren't able to document, you were not able to prove, and therefore the accountability principle that is one of the backbones of the GDPR applies even to the conduct of the DPO, not only towards regulators, towards the Garante and the other data protection authorities, but also internally in order to protect the DPO in relation to potential claims against him. The golden rule for data controllers is that you cannot blame the DPO for your lack of compliance. The DPO is a mere auditor, is a supervisor of the compliance, but then if the measures are not put on the ground by the company, the liability is still on the data controller, on the company that was supposed to do the activities which were not done. Then there is a gray area when the DPO doesn't flag some lack of compliance. But again, even in that case, there is a risk that the data protection authorities are gonna blame the data controller, the entity that was meant to comply, that then can allocate part of the liability on the DPO if there was in practice a lack of service on his end.
So, document everything and don't confuse advice with responsibility.
Absolutely, Antonio.
Thank you very much, Giulio.
Thank you, everyone. Arrivederci.